People play World of Warcraft for all kinds of reasons. Some want to take on powerful raid bosses with the help of their team. Some seek honour and glory in combat against other players. Some are achievement hunters, constantly chasing that most elusive of titles, the unbalding. But if you're a real pro, you know that none of that matters. What's really important is being a sharp dressed man. Yeah, I'm talking about TRANSMOG. And as much as we like to dunk on Blizzard for their questionable developmental decisions over the years, let's be honest, they've made some super cool looking gear sets in that time, which allow us to make our characters look the way we imagine them, regardless of gameplay limitations. That being said, they've also made some shit gear. I'm talking nuke the whole set from orbit, it's the only way to be sure levels of shit gear. But hey, if there's one thing Salty Sea Dog Vulgrin likes to do, it's make fun of the more questionable choices made by Big Bobby's small indie company. So in this video, I will be going through what I personally consider to be the 5 worst looking transmog sets currently available in WoW. Now to preface this, let me be clear that these are actual named sets designed by Blizzard, rather than custom made transmog outfits by players. If we included those, we'd be here all day. And we all know by now from watching Withered Jim himself how easy it is for deranged WoW players to cobble together a classic pre-raid best in slot looking nightmare transmog, which gives them the appearance of having been dunked in a vat of super glue and then fired arse first out of a cannon straight through a fancy dress shop. No, we'll not be looking at player made abominations today. Instead, we're doing something worse, looking at sets Blizzard actually paid people doubloons to design and implement into the game. Now there will be 5 sets we will be shaming today, corresponding to the 4 armour types, cloth, leather, mail and plate, and because the top 4 sounds fucking dumb, I'll also throw in the cosmetic sets to round it up to 5. Remember that this is subjective and it's just for a laugh, so if you get offended because your personal favourite clown suit is on this list, well, sucks to be you I guess. Also, there aren't any PvP sets on this list, I can tell you that off the bat. Not because I didn't look, but simply because modern PvP sets are basically recolours of PvE sets, and the older ones are all either decent or okay at worst. So, let's begin. Alright, so starting it off with the cosmetic sets then. These are fairly recent armour types that Blizzard have introduced, which can be worn by anyone, regardless of what armour type you would normally wear in game. There's not many of these sets to choose from honestly, but it was always going to be one which took this prize. It's this, the Sprite Darter's Wings. Now there are many things which can be said about this particular transmog, such as the fact that it's a greedy scam set designed to provide artificially inflated sub data for Blizzard 6 months from now, and that paying for cosmetics in a game with a monthly sub and buy to play expansions is a move that would make Team Rocket proud. But more importantly, this set looks like something you'd wear if your in-game goal was to lure gnomes into your ice cream truck and take them to Tinker Town, if you catch my drift. The only reason why this set isn't getting harsher criticism right now is because I've already made a full video on it, and I'd rather focus on other sets for this video. Watch that one if you haven't already, if you want to hear my full take on the shite Darter's Wings. Suffice to say, I rate this set 3 clown suits out of 10. Let us proceed. Now that we've gotten the bullshit out of the way, let's get to proper armour types, and we're going to start off with the cloth section. Not gonna lie, I always thought cloth armour looked shit, because wearing a dress in a game in which I could dress up as a pyromaniac monkey or shredder sounded really dumb. But it turns out I was the dumb one, because there are a plethora of fantastic looking cloth sets. After all, cloth is worn by caster classes, which means big fantasy potential. All 3 classes that use cloth, Mage, Warlock and even Priest, which has in the past had a set which made you look like an overly zealous fast food mascot. They all have a lot of amazing sets. And then you get to tier 18, or as I like to call it, the cursed tier. Guess which expansion this one came from? And this tier, oh god, this tier is so bad across the board that I think it's appropriate to call all 3 cloth sets out for this one. And you can make your own mind up as to which you think is the most blasphemous. Starting with the preset first. Now, the normal and heroic recolours of this set aren't too bad. Granted, the gloves look like you use them for polishing cue balls rather than casting spells, and these angelic shoulder wings look maddeningly unhelpful for anyone keen on, passing through doorways not designed for a challenger tank to drive through. But hey, we can tolerate that. What makes this set truly abhorrent is how the already mediocre effort completely drops off when we get to the mythic difficulty. Remember, this is the gear you get for completing the hardest difficulty of the last tier of raiding in an expansion. It is therefore the best gear you could feasibly get at the time. And what does it look like? The same as before, but with a shitter robe, and best of all, instead of metallic wings on your shoulders, you now have streaks of some weird brown and yellow crap on your armor, which I can only compare to those weird crispy bits of burnt cheese that you get on an overcooked pizza. This set is a lazy disgrace, as is most of tier 18. The Mage Mythic tier 18 set is only less shit because of how dull it is. This one looks worse than the gear you would start off with if you boosted a max level mage at the time. Then again, Blizzard really needs to invest their meager resources into where they're best spent, right? Like the gear for cash shot boosted characters makes sense. Finally, the Warlock tier 18. Most Warlock sets are dope. This one is not. I'm not going to waste any time on it. Let's just say this set is only worn by people who drink Relentless. Enough said. All three of these sets combined get a grand score of 1 burnt cheese pizza out of 10. Leather then. Right, I'm not gonna lie, if I ever do a 5 best transmog sets in WoW, the winner for the leather category is definitely gonna be a rogue set. I mean, come on, there's just no question. What? Rogues are edgy and played by weirdos with no IRL friends? Yeah, of course, but at least they look cool while doing it. But what leather set is going to take the prize of worst in the game, you ask? Well, how about an honourable mention from the worst tier of all time, tier 18, and it's the monk set this time. It's actually alright with what I consider to be a pretty sick headpiece, but for some reason when designing the chest item for this set, Blizzard decided it would be a great idea to make the central focus of an end of expansion mythic set a fucking green vest. I can only think that their inspiration for this flaccid micro penis of a chest piece was the blank tabard you get when your raid team G-kick you for being bad, which you are if you choose to wear this. But I promise I'll find something different than a tier 18 transmog for this category's winner. So here it is. I apologise in advance. The winning spot goes to this, the Thunderlord Garb. This is a set you would acquire if you had the War Mill building in your WoD garrison. Yes, I just used WoD and garrison in a sentence, so you know this is going to be awful. Now don't get me wrong, some individual pieces in this set, most notably the shoulder piece, look pretty good and can work well in a custom set. But we have to examine this thing as a whole, and to be honest, it's dog shit. This is supposed to be the gear worn by a tribe of primal hunters who survive in harsh conditions, stalking the most powerful and dangerous of Draenor's creatures. And I get that, but here's the thing. These guys come from the frozen Arctic tundra, but this set has no shoes. Oh yeah, good luck hunting down a fucking woolly mammoth whilst your feet freeze off and you look like a Stone Age gimp. Very practical. They were going for primitive savage here, but instead, what this set makes you look like is a shitty early 90s wrestler designed to look like the special cousin of Lord Humongous from Mad Max, with a belt that came straight off the front of a Texan's pickup truck. There is something which screams sexual deviancy about this set. I don't know if it's the dungeon love mask, or the overall aesthetic which makes you look like a questionable extra from Spartacus Blood and Sand, but this set is deeply unsettling. You might be tempted to wear it if you're an orc, I guess, but please just take the better items from the collection and mix them in with something less unsavoury, and put some fucking boots on if you're going to go out in the tundra for Christ's sake. I give this tragic transmog a rating of, let's say 2 zugzugs out of 10. Let's move on to the male armour type. This is one that has always been a tale of two halves. On the one hand, Shaman sets have a reputation for being some of the most colourful and dynamic in the game, providing a great opportunity for Blizzard's vibrant art style to show off its better nature. Which is no surprise considering how well the concept of harnessing the powers of the 4 elements and communing with spirits matches the fantasy theme of the game. However, on the other hand, we've got the Hunter, a class which, other than being able to tame fantasy beasts, is pretty bog standard. I mean, come on man, whilst your mates are running around casting fireballs and summoning demons, you're rocking up to the raid with a shooter. I get it, turning up to fight vampires with a fucking autocannon is cool and all, but it's just not very fantasy. which is why I think it's made it difficult for Blizz to design particularly eye-catching sets for the Hunter class. It's no surprise then that the Hunter is the dubious owner of the ugliest male transmog set in the game. In fact, it's got several of them. Now, to keep you from rioting, I will make sure not to give the prize to any WoD sets from here on out, but just know that an honourable mention must go out to this monstrosity, which looks to be an Ironforge mountaineer who is being gradually molested by the Shah of shite transmogs. Welcome to WoD, ladies and gentlemen, tier 18, the best. But the winner, and thankfully not from Draenor this time, is any and all versions of the Arn Kabar Blood Hunters battle gear. Have I said that right? No, it's Arn Kahar, whatever. It's also known as tier 10. Now, I'll be honest with you, this set is probably not as bad as the tier 18 Hunter one, but it's still terrible, especially when you consider that this is the final tier set from Wrath, so it deserved to be good. This set is another one which looks bad because it's very dull, especially compared to what other classes got in the same tier. However, it's also a prime example of how a shit headpiece can make a set go from bad to disgusting. Look at this! Who was it who sat down at their Blizzard work desk one morning and thought, I know what hunters want to wear when fighting Arthas in ICC, probably the most meaningful moment in the history of the game. They want to wear a giant insectoid bellend helmet which makes them look like they've just been fired out of a Nubarak's arsehole. I can't think of any reason why you'd want to wear this outfit, or any reason why we should waste any more time talking about this chitinous, phallic mess any longer. The rating? 3 Nerubian arses out of 12. Now that you've hopefully got that image out of your head, we can finally come to the plate set. It has all been building up to this, hasn't it? After all, everyone knows that the bigger the armour, the grander, and therefore the better it should be. Traditionally, Blizzard has produced some truly epic sets for the 3 classes which wear plate, but not all of them are good, some are bad. Very, very bad. Honourable mentions then. Firstly, we open the freezer to take a look at a Death Knight set, and guess what? It's blue! Shocker, never heard of a blue DK set before. This is the Ogre Skull Bone Plate Battle Gear, and again, it's another set which is let down by the helmet. I get that people like this set, but here's the problem. I cannot look at that helmet and see anything other than what I imagine the Terminator would look like if he was an elderly robot who had walked out of the factory and gotten lost. This is a face not of necromantic destruction, it's the face of mental degradation. Oh, it's also one with a trademark Blizzard dick horn on it too. Second honourable mention, the Battle Plate of Resounding Rings, aka tier 14 from Mists of Pandaria. This is a warrior set, and really I'm including it because it looks super bland and will be better suited as a set you get from completing heroic dungeons or something. Tier 14 is pretty weak across the board for plate wearers in my opinion. I mean, it's not tier 18, but hey, what is? I just think this is a weak set. Boring, bland, let's move on to the winner. But before we do, I have a question. Are you cosmetically challenged? Do you go to the transmog vendor, look at all those options, and then go straight to the judgment set because you're terrified of thinking outside the box? Don't put your faith in guides, put your faith in me instead, and check out my Patreon. Not sure why it's relevant, but hey, maybe some of my inherent fashion sense will wash off on you, because you know, my character looks so good, right? It looks good, right guys? What do you mean I look like a fur? And now for the final winner, the worst looking plate set in the game. We have to go all the way back to vanilla, to the hallowed halls of Molten Core, to the very first tier of raiding ever created for this one. It's fitting when you think about it, that when so many players were marvelling at the awesome looking sets they were getting access to after so long, that one class got completely shafted. Now before I reveal this, let me say now, I know what some of you are thinking. It's unfair to put a vanilla set as one of the worst looking in the game. These sets are 16 years old. It's not a fair comparison. Well, to you I say, no, you're wrong. And the reason why you're wrong is that I could easily pick 3 sets from vanilla as among the best looking in the game, including one of those sets from this very class by the way, which may well be the best looking set Blizzard have ever created. So I will rip the shit out of this set because it is fair, and more importantly, it's fucking funny. So, what is this set, the worst looking plate set in WoW? It's the Paladin tier 1, aka the Lawbringer armor. This set, compared to some of the others in Tier 1, looks far more outdated than its fellows. Where do we even begin? The helmet. It's shaped like a bucket, and if you look closely, the two wings on it, along with the trademark phallic point on the front, form a W, which probably means wanker, because that's what you are if you even consider this as your transmog. Don't get me wrong, I'm a sucker for nostalgia too, but if you want that, then for the love of the space light bulbs themselves, wear Tier 2 instead. That way you'll actually look like a holy knight, rather than the mascot for a custard factory. I actually don't know why it is that I hate this set so much, but I always have, and be assured, this set was a mistake. And if Tyrion Fordron could see you wearing it, he'd shove the Ashbringer so far up your jacksie that you'd be casting holy light every time you opened your fucking mouth. It's disgusting. And there we have it, my personal pick for the worst 5 transmog sets in WoW. Remember, it's subjective. I've been wrecked by Bubble Boys too many times in this game to not harbour a grudge. And as for WOD, well yeah. Anyway, if you liked the video, consider subscribing to the channel and let me know in the comments what you think the ugliest sets in the game are. Also let me know if you want to see a top 5 best transmog sets video. I'd be up for that. Alright guys, ta-ta for now, and as always, thank you very much for watching. Bye bye.